My professional life, on the other hand, was my sanctuary. I was a freelance graphic designer, and I had just landed the biggest project of my career. It was a complete rebranding for a major tech company. This wasn't just a job. It was a game changer. It was the kind of project that could elevate my portfolio, open doors, and secure my financial future. I poured everything I had into it, my time, my creativity, my soul. For weeks, my life revolved around color palettes, font choices, and logo variations. I worked late into the night, fueled by coffee and sheer determination. The deadline was looming, just a week away. I was in the final stretch, putting the finishing touches on the main presentation. I had spent over 100 hours on this single file. It was my masterpiece. All the brand guidelines, the logo designs, the mock-ups, everything was in one meticulously organized document. I remember saving the file, leaning back in my chair, and feeling a wave of relief and pride wash over me. It was almost done. The finish line was in sight. I decided to back it up onto my external hard drive just to be safe. I plugged it in, dragged the massive file over, and waited for the transfer to complete. Then, something went horribly wrong. My computer screen flickered. A strange error message popped up, something about a catastrophic failure. And then, darkness. The screen went black. My heart stopped. No, 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 I whispered, frantically pushing the power button. Nothing. I tried again. Nothing. Panic began to creep in, cold and sharp. I unplugged everything and plugged it back in. Still nothing. My laptop, my lifeline, was completely dead. Okay, I told myself, trying to stay calm. Don't panic. The file is on the external hard drive. It's safe. I grabbed David's laptop, my hands shaking so badly I could barely plug in the drive. I clicked it open, navigated to the folder, and my blood ran cold. The folder was there, but it was empty. The file was gone, corrupted, vanished into thin air during the failed transfer. I felt the room start to spin. All that work, 100 hours of my life, just gone. The deadline was in less than a week. There was no way I could recreate everything from scratch. It was impossible. This wasn't just a setback. It was a catastrophe. My career-defining project was about to go up in flames. I broke down, I sat on the floor, my head in my hands, and just sobbed. It felt like the world was ending. David found me like that a few minutes later. He tried to console me, offering solutions. We can take it to a specialist. They can recover the data. We called every 24-hour tech support and data recovery service we could find. The answer was always the same. It was a holiday weekend. No one could even look at it for at least 3 or 4 days. By then, it would be too late. My deadline would have passed. My reputation would be ruined. Defeated, I retreated to my home office, staring at the blank, dead screen of my laptop. It felt like I was staring into a black hole that had swallowed my future. That's when I heard a soft knock on the door. It was Liam. He stood in the doorway, looking awkward, his headphones hanging around his neck. I heard what happened," he said quietly. "Dad told me." I just nodded, too exhausted and heartbroken to even form words. I probably looked like a complete wreck. He hesitated for a moment, then stepped into the room. Can I see it?" he asked, gesturing toward the dead laptop. Honestly, I thought, what's the point? If the professionals couldn't help, what could a 16-year-old kid do? But I was desperate, and something in his tone made me just say, sure. He sat down in my chair and looked at the laptop. He didn't just push the power button. He started examining it, turning it over, looking at all the ports. He asked me a series of specific questions. What exactly happened right before it shut down? What was the error message? Did you smell anything? His questions were surprisingly technical. I answered as best I could through my tears. Then he said, I have some tools in my room. Can I try something? At that point, I had nothing to lose. Go ahead, I mumbled. He returned a few minutes later with a small toolkit, the kind for repairing electronics. I watched, half curious, half skeptical, as he carefully opened the back panel of my laptop. I had no idea he even knew how to do that. His hands were steady and sure. He wasn't just randomly poking around. He seemed to know exactly what he was looking for. He used a multimeter to test a few components on the motherboard. He was completely focused, his brow furrowed in concentration. The silence in the room was only broken by the soft clicks of his tools. For about an hour, he worked. He would pause, look something up on his phone, and then go back to work. I sat on the floor, watching him, a tiny flicker of hope starting to ignite in my chest. He wasn't the distant, disengaged teenager I thought he was. He was methodical, intelligent, and focused. He was trying to help me. Finally, he looked up. I think I found the problem, he said. It looks like a specific power controller chip on the motherboard shorted out. It happens sometimes, especially during a heavy data transfer. It basically cut all power to prevent further damage. He then added, "The good news is, your hard drive itself is probably fine. The data should still be there. The bad news is, this chip is fried." My tiny flame of hope sputtered out. "So, it's useless," I said, my voice flat. "Not necessarily," he replied. "I think I can bypass it just long enough to get it to turn on so you can get your file. It's risky and might not work, or it could cause more damage." He looked me straight in the eye, "But if you need that file, it's our only shot." I looked at him, truly looked at him, for the first time. I saw the seriousness in his eyes, the genuine desire to help. This wasn't a game to him. He was offering me a lifeline. "Do it," I said, my voice barely a whisper. For a second, nothing happened, and then the screen flickered to life. The startup logo appeared. I gasped. I couldn't believe it. It was working. The laptop booted up slowly, but it booted up. I scrambled to the desk. My hands were shaking again, but this time with adrenaline and hope. I navigated to my documents folder, and there it was, my project file intact. I immediately plugged in a different, brand new flash drive and dragged the file over. I watched the progress bar, holding my breath until it said, "Transfer complete." It wasn't nothing, I insisted, pulling back to look at him. It was everything.